And ta-da! Hello, this is Ina from Books and Boybands and welcome to another video. It's the start of March and I'm very excited to tell you my hopefuls for this month, my possibility pile, my possible TBR depending on how my mood would be for this month. February and January of this year were very successful experiences. I did read around 31 books in total for those 2 months. So far, I might be able to squeeze in one more. So I'm very hopeful that the energy would continue with March. So I prepared 3 groups of TBRs. Of course, the 3 formats that I usually consume. So some books on my Kindle, some books on my Libby for audiobooks, and another set of physical books, basically book of the month books in my collection. So I'll be sharing all of them with you. I don't know how many of them I'll be able to read, but they would be my basis. There would be my main options for my reading this March. I do have some hidden TBRs as well for a themed video that I'm going to do. I think I have 2 themed videos in mind, but first, let's start with this stack of books. So it's really hard to decide for someone who has a big collection of books. My Goodreads TBR is actually, I think, 8,000 books worth. So today I just decided to use my BTS energy in choosing the books that I'll be reading. And ta-da! Hello everyone! Meet my Q-Pos Kitchen Dynamite. This was a gift from my mom and dad. We saw him at the Changi airport before our flight back to the Philippines way back June of last year, and they decided to gift it to me for that successful trip. And Jin will be the one who would be choosing my TBR for this month. And I just decided to base the books that I'll be picking. So I matched their covers to Jin's outfit here. So we have brown, light brown, and maybe orangey brown, rust brown. So those were the picks I had for most of the books. But of course, I did squeeze in some random books in my TBR. So let's start with the physical books. Let's start with Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaghy. This is a book, I don't know technically the genre is this literary fiction. What I do know is that this is a book that is actually revolving wolves. The main character is a biologist and she grew up in this area. She actually grew up with these wolves. So it says here that the story involves our main character, Inti, and her sister Aggie. They would be going back to the highlands. They would be reintroducing wolves into the area, which is, I think, supposed to be their natural habitat. But then a farmer died in the area after the wolves were introduced there, and she already knows that the people would be blaming the existence of the wolves to the murder of this farmer. But Inti believes in the innocence of the wolves, and she believes that there is someone responsible for that crime. So I guess this is a kind of mystery thriller. I'm also surprised with that. So I'm really excited to read this one. I saw this book in one of Gabby Reed's videos and I've always watched her. I think I've watched her for 5 years already and I do trust her recommendations. So I'm excited very much about this one. I also picked a book by an author I have read a couple times already. Her books are hit or miss for me, but this premise is one that I'm very interested in usually, and this is The It Girl by Ruth Ware. So it's quite a chunky book, but it's about this it girl that our main character Hannah met when she was in Oxford University. She was magnetized, she was attracted to be around this person, and they did form a friend group. But at the end of that year in school, April, the socialite or the it girl, ended up dead. Fast forward to Hannah's years, she has lived her life. There was somebody who was incarcerated for this murder, but he was found innocent then. So after that, her life as she knew it changed. And because of this case being reopened after finding the former suspect innocent, she discovered that her group of friends that she had way back in university are the suspects now. So she has to figure out who really killed the It Girl. I have another recommendation from Gabby Reads. This is Razor Blade Tears by S.A. Cosby. Last February, I was able to read Blacktop Wasteland by the author, and I was really fascinated. And the author writes very fast-paced thrillers, emotional, gut-wrenching, and is also a very good introduction to Black culture and their situation in the States. So I really enjoyed that one. But once I read the reviews of other people who have read that book, they said that they like this one better. That if you love that book, you would definitely enjoy this one. And that's what Gabby has also mentioned before. I think this is one of her best books the year it was published. What I do know about this book is that it also discusses race. It involves death of a gay couple and their fathers, one Black father and one white father. So of course they have cultural differences, they have racial biases, and they have to work together. They have to talk to each other to know what really happened to their sons, who is responsible for their murder. So it's going to be very emotional, very thought-provoking as well. So I really hope I really get to squeeze in this one on my March reading. So the next book I have is a historical romance. This was released in April 2023, and this is Ana Maria and the Fox by Liana de la Rosa. It's part of a series. It says here, a Luna Sisters novel. So this book is set during the time when France would be colonizing Mexico, and Ana Maria and her sisters seek refuge in London, and there she meets this British politician, the Fox, or Gideon Fox, and this story is about their love story. So I don't really want to dive further than that. I'm really excited about this one because I don't usually see racial diversity represented in historical romances, especially Regency-ish historical romances. So I'm pretty excited about this one. I'm a little sad though to see that I damaged my copy of Ana Maria and the Fox. But anyway, the last book of the month book I have is Someday Maybe by Oni Nwabineli. And this, I'm not sure if I could classify as a romance, but I do know I can classify this one as a love story. This was a pick last November 2022. So this is about our main character. She's not named in the blurb of the book, but she loves her husband very much, and unfortunately her husband died in New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. He killed himself and she was the one who found him. This is a story about her grief, her journey after losing her husband, and celebrating the love she has for her husband while trying to get on with her life. So this, I think, probably would be quite an emotional read. So there. And then lastly, the non-book of the month physical book I might be reading is Mary Jane. I decided to pick this one up because I think it has quite some Daisy Jones in the Six vibes. So this is Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau. So it says here that this is a coming-of-age story set in 1970s Baltimore, featuring a 14-year-old girl. So she comes from a very straight-laced family, but during the summer, I think she has a nanny job, and her bosses are a rock star and a superstar wife. So that's where she gets introduced to this world, and they say that this is a good book to pick if you loved Daisy Jones and the Six and Almost Famous. So there. Now let's go to my Kindle picks. So the first book I have on my Kindle is an art I received quite a few years ago, and it's the second novel in a series I started also a few years ago, and it's called Going Public by Hudson Lin. So what I really liked about this is at that time, I didn't really see Asian men in the cover of romance books, and this series by Karina Adors featured that. So this one is a second chance romance with an age gap. Childhood crush turns romance. In this story, we have our main character, Raymond. He is a CEO, one of the operating partners in Jade Harbor Capital, the series that this book revolves around, and his assistant, Elvin. So it's just about their budding romance after, spending lots of time together and trying to solve the company's problems together and all that. So yeah. The next book is Falling by Chris Bryant. So this is another romance arc I have on my shelves for years now, and I wanted to do a NetGalley cleanup, so I've been reading these books. And this one is about a plane crash survivor. She lost her fiancé in that plane crash, and this tells the story of her moving on and grieving the entire process of her journey, and the trauma she had on that plane crash. And she meets someone, and they rediscover love together. So there. The next book is a Filipino romance written by an author whose works I have loved before, and I'm really, really excited about this one. This is A Match Made in Lipa by Carla de Guzman. So this is set in Lipa, Batangas, a place that I have visited quite often as a Southie. So it's really nice to read about books with settings you've actually been into. So this one, I think, is a series wherein they involving the owners of businesses in a same street, I guess. So this one involves Kira, a chocolate shop owner, and Anton, who is part of a family owning a small boutique hotel in Lipa. But Anton has been living his life in Manila, which is a few hours away. Technically, it's also a difference of smaller city to like a full-fledged urban city. And he goes back to the province in Lipa. Kira and Santi meet again, and he was Kira's childhood crush. So this might be their second chance at romance, but it also involves whether Santi would be staying in Lipa for good, how they would handle this type of relationship when everything seems to be just a temporary thing. So there. The last ebook that I would be reading is actually from Libby. It is The Woman in Me by Britney Spears, her autobiography. And I know it received the Goodreads Best Autobiography Memoir for 2023. A lot of people have been talking about this book a lot. And as someone who was born in the 90s and was witness to like the peak of her career, and was also worried about the downfall of her career and even her state now, because I'm not really sure how she is feeling right now after that conservatorship thing. I'm really, really curious, and this has been on hold. I placed a hold for this book for many, many weeks already. It took me some time, and I actually received a notification that I can finally borrow a copy. It's something that I really, really have to read this month. Now we go to the audiobooks, and of course, all of my audiobooks are also sourced from Libby. These are some former holds that are now approved, or some I just borrowed right away from my library. And the first one is really on theme with Jin's outfit, and it's Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. So honestly, I just wanted to enter this book blindly. I'm sure since it is an Ali Hazelwood, I'm not sure if it's part of the Love Hypothesis universe, but I do think that it's probably revolving some nerds in love. So there's probably some STEM, some scholarly academic thingy, and love. So let me just enter it blindly. I'm sure it's a popular book you've probably heard already about before anyway. So I'd also like to continue on Tita Rosie's Kitchen Cozy Mystery series. A few years back, I've read Arsenic and Adobo. I think I just rated it 3 stars. It was good, but I'm kind of craving for cozy mysteries, and I wanted to continue on that, and specifically a Filipino cozy mystery. So I plan on reading Homicide and Halo Halo. This one still involves Laila or Lila Macapagal. So this time there would be a pageant in Shady Palms called the Miss Teen Shady Palms Beauty Pageant. It's something that she has won many years ago, and she had a rival, her cousin Bernadette. The town is planning to resurrect this event again and hold it for its residents. Unfortunately, though, the head judge ended up being murdered. So this is another whodunit mystery, kind of similar to Arsenic and Adobo. So I'm hopeful that this would be a lot better than the other one. And if it is, I plan on also reading the next book in this series, just called Blackmail and Bibingka. And lastly, as I mentioned, I'm in the mood for some cozy mysteries. So I have another fall-ish themed for our color theme this month, and it's The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. So it says here that this is a Dream Harbor cozy mystery series. I didn't really read the blurb of it. I was just looking for cozy mysteries, but they said that it's perfect for fans of Gilmore Girls, for people who love the grumpy and sunshine dynamic, a small town setting, some romantic elements, and a guaranteed happy ending. So I'm really hopeful about that. It sounds super good, and it was just published August of last year. So I'm sure with audiobooks I will be able to read more than these 3 or 4 that I mentioned. I would just let my Libby app take it wherever it wants to take me. But yeah, those are all the books that I'm hoping to read this March. Please do tell me about your reading plans for March. Please tell me which books I should prioritize, which books I could place on the back burner because it's not worth it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to your comments, and I hope to see you guys on the next video. Bye and thank you!